4 years ago, I was living in Christchurch doing my master's in speech therapy at the University of Canterbury. So, this particular night, I was riding my bike home from uni and a car hit me. So, it was a pretty horrendous accident and I had injuries all over my body. I broke my left leg completely. I broke my femur, tibia, and fibula. I broke my hip bone, 2 of my backbones. I broke many of my ribs and my mandible. I also had lacerations, internal injuries, in my lungs, liver, kidney, spleen, ureter, diaphragm, and intestine. And they transfused huge amounts of blood into my system. I couldn't eat anything. I lost my voice completely. I lost my sense of smell. I had an eye infection. I had a lot of cuts and lacerations all over my face. I was running short of breath and I was on life support, and I also had a severe traumatic brain injury. The paramedic in the ambulance, the doctors and the police had concluded that I was not going to make it. So they rang my parents who lived overseas. They asked them to come over so I could spend the last days of my life with them. The doctors said to my parents, your daughter is not going to survive, and even if she survives, she will live in a vegetative state for the rest of her life. My brain injury resulted in a lot of memory issues. So I would forget people, I would forget their names, I would forget about the things we talked about, and I would ask the same question over and over again. I also had fatigue and a constant fatigue, so I had to take rest after everything I did. It was really hard to understand speech. It was really hard getting back to my normal routine. I remember crying myself to sleep every single night and asking God, why did this happen to me? One day, one of my physiotherapists asked me, oh, so you're a master's student, and so what is your research topic? And that's when I realized, oh yeah, I was actually doing my master's and I was doing a research, and I couldn't remember what my research topic was. That was a huge shock, and I couldn't believe that I couldn't remember my research topic, and I could just remember a few keywords. They said I would never be able to go back to studies. I would never be able to live a normal life. I'll always have limitations. They said, there are support groups for people like you. You'll get a disability discount card. Trust me, those are not the things that you would want to hear. I knew that moving to New Zealand to do my master's in speech therapy was a God decision. God spoke to me clearly about doing this master's. So I went back to uni and I started doing my research all over again right from the start. I had to attend all my therapies and I was doing my master's at the same time. My friends from church would come and sit with me every single day when I was in hospital, and they would pray for me, they would just love on me, and they were just there for me. And that gave me a lot of confidence, and that literally boosted my faith. I struggled with my brain injury for almost a year. When I was in hospital, I happened to listen to the testimony of a pastor, Pastor Leanne Matthesius, who talked about how when she was pregnant, the doctor said that your baby will be born with a disability. And she chose to believe in God's word and in God's promises, and she started speaking the promises of God over her baby's life. I used to think that whatever doctors say are true, it's going to happen. So when I heard this testimony, I thought, okay, if the doctors got it wrong in her case, they could get it wrong in mine too. I chose to believe that if God can heal that baby, God can heal me too. I decided that I'm not going to settle for anything less than complete healing. I started praying and asking God to give me the faith to believe that He can heal me. A year later, Pastor Janine Kabala came to the church I was attending down in Christchurch, and I knew she was a healing minister, and I knew that she would give an altar call at the end of the service. So when she gave an altar call, I responded. So that evening after church, I went home, and I was expecting to be tired and fatigued and not be able to do anything. But I was feeling fine. I wasn't very tired, and I didn't have a headache. But it didn't catch my attention then. It was the same the following day and the day after. I wasn't having any headaches. I wasn't getting tired. I had energy at the end of the day. So then I started testing myself in different situations just to make sure that I was actually healed. Now, when I look back, I can clearly see God's hand in everything. Many doctors and nurses told me that your recovery is a miracle. They used the word miracle. The doctors predicted that I'll be living in a vegetative state for the rest of my life. But I'm healed completely today, and I finished my master's and I have a full-time job. I have no troubles of my brain injury. I'm living a perfectly normal life. I used to say to God, God, I'm not settling for anything less than a complete healing. God honored His word. He gave me complete healing. He restored twice as much to me. I love riding my bike. I love going for bike rides with my friends, socializing and just hanging out. It wouldn't have been possible if the doctors were right. I'm not saying don't put your trust in doctors. What I'm saying is trust God more.